Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, every city is unique and has its own strength. And as a result, the cities need to be developed with different characteristics and personalities. But cities all over the world, like being present here today on the stage, also share similar aspirations. They want to play a role, a critical role for sustainable development for their own peoples and through the urban governance. That's why we are gathering all of them here together to have a chat. Hopefully, with some exchange of ideas, we can have the best practices and inspirations for one another. My great honor to introduce, coming from Italy, Ms. Laura Fincato, former Deputy Foreign Minister of Italy and Mayor's Representative of Venice, Italy. Thank you. Mr. Yao Gaoyuan, Mayor of Hangzhou, China. Thank you. Mr. Nectario Varmakis, Governor of Western Greece, from Greece. Thank you so much, sir. Coming from the great country of South Africa, the African continent, Mr. Langelo Mubenzayo, the city manager of Cape Town. Coming from Malaysia, welcome our neighbors in Asia, Mr. Sabin bin Samita, Mayor of Kota Kinabalu, Mr. Amir Honi, Deputy Mayor of Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Thank you. We have all these mayors and governors coming from China, the rest of Asia, Africa, Europe. Wow, what a conversation we are going to have. I would love to have every one of you to use one word or two to describe your city, or in your case, your region. Let's start from the host.
北宋的大诗人
The great poet from North Song Dynasty, who's the mayor of Hangzhou, used a poem to describe Westlake. Be it light or heavy makeup, it's always well suited with the city. So we like to use the very word well suited to describe Hangzhou. First of all, Hangzhou is well suited for living. 8,000 years ago, the Cross Lake Bridge was there. 5,000 years ago, the Liangchu ancient sites and people actually settled here to build a city. So Hangzhou has a history of 8,000 years of human activities and 5,000 years of human civilization. Nowadays, as a megacity, we have 12.52 million people living here happily. So it has been awarded by saying that Hangzhou is paradise on earth, the most happiest city for China. And Hangzhou is well suited for businesses as well. And we have over 2 million market business entities, meaning that every 6 people have an enterprise owner in Hangzhou, and has more than 300 listed companies. In Binjiang district, on average, every square meter, actually we have one listed company. Recent years, we have attracted an average of 350,000 young people under the age of 35 in Hangzhou each year to settle their businesses. For example, people know it very well. A global hit of China's 3A game, Black Myth Wukong, actually was rightly birthed in Hangzhou. The production team is a group of young people from other cities 6 years ago to start a business in Hangzhou. They came to Hangzhou, and the reason is very simple. The Hangzhou is the very place that is well suited for doing businesses and to live here. So they believe that Hangzhou is the right place. So 6 years have passed by. They are now making great success. The inspirational story of Black Myth Wukong tells us that so long as you work really hard, everyone can achieve their dreams. So we are building entrepreneurial myth everywhere. And also the next one has been shared by our Secretary General. So this is a place that people are much willing to stay.
Thank you very much, Mayor Yao. Governor, coming from Greece, please.
The branding of our region, the name of the region is Western Greece. Western Greece means nothing. However, the branding of our region is one and simple and global. Olympian land, the land where the Olympic Games began, the land where the Olympic flame burns every 4 years, and the land that represents human values that are eternal. That is the land I come from. That is the region of Western Greece. That is the land we're proud of. Land full of proud people, working people, people that are eager to see a brighter future. That's what we're working for. And of course, a land full of contrasts. It's like yin and yang, to speak in the Chinese philosophy. It's like yin and yang, full of contrasts. Mountains, lakes, rivers, coasts, all of these ingredients that make a land competitive and full of occasions of investment of bright future.
Have you noticed, I think the competition among mayors are already beginning. Let's go to Mayor of Cape Town, City Manager of Cape Town from South Africa, Mr. Dazayo.
Thank you again for the invitation. I can describe the city, or we describe the city as a city of hope, where people can realize their dreams, where they can prosper, where there's diverse culture, and where they are united in diversity. We have a beautiful city that each and every person in the world aspires to visit, and especially our Table Mountain. And everyone is welcome to visit the city of Cape Town. We call it in South Africa, Mother City, because it's the oldest city in South Africa, and also almost oldest city in the world. Thank you.
Beautiful. And now let's go to Laura, coming from the city of Venice, please.
And we have a great man in common, Marco Polo, who visited Hangzhou and described Hangzhou. So this year, as you know, we celebrate the 700-year passing away. But in any case, I want to speak about Venice today, because Venice celebrates its 1600th anniversary 2 years ago. So a long story, a long birth, because every day Venice has to be rebirthed. It's a history of man, history of lagoon, history of island, history of bridge. And for that, it's now our duty to transform the historic city in a modern city. And I think I could use 2 words to say my idea. Water and art. City of water, city of art. That is Venice. That was, that is, and that will be Venice.
City of water and art, coming from Venice. Thank you. Let's go to Malaysia, the beautiful city that you are representing, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Located in the Malaysian state of Sabah, Kota Kinabalu is a coastal city known for its breathtaking natural beauty, rich cultural heritage, and warm hospitality. And Kota Kinabalu, often referred to as KK, serves as a gateway to the stunning landscape of Borneo, and offering a mix of rainforests, pristine beaches, and crystal clear waters for visitors to explore. And the city is home to the Mount Kinabalu, Southeast Asia's highest peak, UNESCO World Heritage Site that attracts climbers and nature enthusiasts from around the world. And in addition to its natural wonders, Kota Kinabalu is a melting pot of diverse cultures with influences from indigenous tribes, Malay, Chinese, and other ethnic communities, shaping its vibrant identity. And Kota Kinabalu is a city of contrast where modernity means tradition and nature coexist with urban development.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A city about contrast and diversity. Thank you. Last but not least, city of Dushanbe.
Dushanbe, one of the young, modern, and the same time very developed city. The city of the contrast, the city of colors, the city of huge and wide gardens and parks, and city of fountains. Of course, on the same time, with the modern infrastructure, with the providing the all main necessary infrastructure services for increasing the level of the life of residential in entire municipality area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you from Dushanbe. Now let's move on to the real topic today, the urban governance and sustainable development. So about you, Mr. Mayor, coming from Hangzhou.
其实啊，作为一个市长，作为城市治理者，
So as a mayor, as a governor of the city, I believe that mayors who are sitting here, we actually do have a common challenge, that is the transportation digestion. And especially in Hangzhou, the transportation congestion. We have so many cars running on the road, and we do have a lot of ownership of the cars running on the road. So it's a big problem to solve for the congestion problem. Last year, the end of the last year, actually the ownership of the cars in Hangzhou reached to more than 4 million. If you compared with the data about 5 years ago, 2019, so it was around 3 million cars ownership. So it means that every year in the coming 5 years, we increase like 300,000 ownership of cars in Hangzhou city. So how do we solve these congestion problems? Actually, we do have two, either to increase something or to reduce something. If we're talking about reduction, maybe we can put restrictions, limitations on the car plates. If we wanted to increase something, it means that we need to increase the investment by building new roads, etc. But I don't think we really yield good results out of those two measures. As the digital city in China, we do think about a way to empower the transportation governance. So starting from 2022, we have been working really hard on the digital empowerment on transportation. So we leverage the strength of our city urban brains, that is the IoT devices, interconnectivity, the big data, AI, cloud computing, large language models. All of those have been leveraged to manage and govern our transportation. And we really make great achievements. And the best efficient way is to create the smart green wave, by which I mean that by using the digital technology and devices, we can really have the real-time sensing and calculation of the transportation on the road, so that we can adjust the timing of the red and green lights. In the past, all the transportation lights actually were having the same length of intermittence time, but now we can adjust the time of red lights and the green lights according to the real-time transportation. And we have built around 300 kilometers length of the green wave transportation on roads. So what about the results? According to the Bureau of Public Police, after launching this program, we have increased by 20% of the road speed. So after a year of taking these measures, we have really yielded great results. About 2020, when we just kicked off this program in 50 cities in China. Actually, we are ranking 33rd among all the top 50 cities in terms of the transportation congestion, and this year we were ranking 44th. It means that we have made great improvement in solving the congestion problem. By sharing this case, we are telling the great story of digital empowerment. Of course, transportation is only one of many cases of application. We do hope that we can create more scenarios where we can leverage the digital technology to empower the industry. And we do hope that there will be more cities will coming in using the digital technology to empower the city and urban governors.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. While you are talking, I noticed that the Vice Mayor of Dushanbe had been listening very clearly to your numbers. Now, Mr. Vice Mayor, what's going on in Hangzhou, can that be of reference to what's going on in your city?
In general, as His Excellency mentioned, the problems in all urban areas is very similar to each other. The all above mentioned problems accordingly to public transportation about the general transport management is also existing in our city. But right now we are going deeply over the period of the transforming the common engines, I mean the common car to the electric vehicles. But on the same time, we have to install a numerous number of the chargers equipment. But on the same time, we have some loads during the peak hours, I mean, in our net grids. In our electrical grids, we have some overloaded during the peak times, I mean, morning peak times, hours, and the evening peak hours. We have some problems in this regard. Of course, they're managing this situation. I mean, the chargers, they work the sustainable charging moment and also go to avoiding any restrictions in power supply. This moment is very interesting for me. How the Hangzhou municipality managing this issue?
Well, we see the developing countries and the emerging economies like your country are very much enthusiastic about the electronic vehicles. Wait until the time when you have so many, then empowerment digitally about the traffic light monitoring system might be the way to go.
Of course, this is the one of the options. Right now we are working on digitalization in transport sector very aggressively because it's very necessary measure and it's very on-time solution. But I think for the existing, we will, of course, the main purpose of organizing of this such platforms in such exchange experience is that to maybe implement some already adopted solutions in Hangzhou, in Dushanbe. In transport sector, it's of course very necessary because we have also to deal with all of the existing challenges. But right now, the main problem which we are facing, the main challenge is the correctly deployment of the charger devices for avoiding some overloading on the existing networks, because this is a very sensitive moment on the managing of electric vehicle in general. In Dushanbe, we have the same situation, and we are on the process of investigation, on the inception process of the making some assessments. Of course, all of my previous discussions with my colleagues in Hangzhou, and we have more than 1 day for continue our discussions for finding the optimal solutions, which is eligible for Dushanbe as well. I'm sure that we will find some, I have to say, maybe fully already tested solution.
Do people like electronic vehicles back at home in your place?
Yes, if the number of the electric vehicle in Dushanbe increasing very rapidly. The main manufacturers, the main producers of these cars, our partner, neighbor country, People's Republic of China. Electric vehicles imported to Dushanbe from China. And at the same time, of course, it's in the case of Tajikistan, it's really a reasonable solution.
That's a beautiful question. To you, Mr. Governor.
The European Union as a whole, and specifically the region of Western Greece, targeted special funds, European funds, through the Smart Specialization Strategy, RIS3, it is called in the European Union, which is for the current program has 6 areas of specialization, funds specifically targeted for 6 categories of infrastructure or strategy: materials, construction, agri-food, environment, circular economy, sustainable energy, and digital technologies. 6 actions, 6 strategies that European funding is going for public investment, private investment, mixed investment. And of course, it is not irrelevant to say that Western Greece, our region, and have every reason to boast about it, has been awarded by the European Union as a regional innovation valley, because we have several innovation research centers, and we boast to have the highest ratio of researchers to the population in the whole of the country. And that's something we're very proud of.
I'm also proud of that you are bringing to us all this latest information, but I do have a question, if I could, to not only who those already spoken, but also those who are about. We see a lot of detailed plans in your city, but what about the synergies among cities? How can we, make sure it's not just a city in Western Greece, in Europe, but also a world city? How can we make sure it's not just a city in the eastern part of China, but also a world city together? How can we make sure it's not just the city of Dushanbe, though wonderful, but a world city? How can cities, create that synergy? And as a digitalization, because it's supposed to connect us together, in a world that's so divided, how about these mayors? What are you working in order to bring us together? That's why you are here, isn't it? I want to hear from you, Mr. Governor, before I move on to the others.
Yes, of course. I think Europe is trying to make synergies. Yeah. IURC was a motive for us to cooperate, to be here and sign an MOU between Hangzhou and the region of Western Greece. It's the first step to cooperate and, of course, to mingle digital technology, culture, tourism, all of this that we're looking for. And, of course, Europe is trying to make us, regions inside the Europe, cooperate between each other. We're not there. We're trying to be there, let alone outside Europe. It is a difficult thing to do, and it takes 2 to tango. Everyone must feel the same way to cooperate. Otherwise, I'll be dancing alone.
And that's why you're here as an envoy, isn't it? Mr. Mayor?
That's why we are here as the city of Cape Town. Because Hangzhou is more advanced than us in technology. And that's why we have these sister city agreements, cooperation. It's because we want to learn how did they make it, so that we don't have to do what they have done and go on a trial and error when someone else is already done it. So it is important for us. These sister city agreements are just not for the people, for us to come and visit Hangzhou or visit Shenzhen. It's exactly for that purpose. We are lagging behind in terms of digitalization in Cape Town. Yes, we are trying our best because the challenges that we have are unique to other countries, because as you know that we are coming from the days of apartheid, so we are in an unequal society. And in terms of the world, organization, they are saying the most unequal society is in South Africa. And exactly those are the challenges now. The resources, if you go to Cape Town, and we have a population, according to census, though it's more than that, it's 4.7 million citizens in Cape Town. I am telling you now, it's only 30% that are contributing to the budget of the city, which means that more than almost 70% of that population is not working. Now it has to be subsidized by those who can afford. And they have to be subsidized by those who can afford. So that it now slows us down in certain things. It is for that reason now we have agreements. We want to learn for those who have done it so that we can quickly get there without going through other hoops. And we hope that with the exchanges, we can be able to help us in terms of digitalization, because it also helps the communities to be in touch with each other. Even those who are in disadvantaged communities, they don't have to travel to get services at a far distance if they have technology available to them.
Do you think others' experiences can be relevant to you?
Yes, definitely. There are experiences in as much as we cannot implement as they have been implemented. We have to make them suit our own conditions and our own challenges. Definitely. There is no doubt about it. Even the mayor spoke about the issue of congestion. And I was saying to myself, oh, that's the biggest challenge also that we face as Cape Town. If you look at the statistics, even in the world, they say we are the most congested city. The only reason for that is that we don't have reliable transport. There are many things that I can talk about. We don't have reliable transport. Everybody is driving a car because of the unreliable transport. Hence, in my opening, when you were asking me about the sustainable goals, I emphasized the issue of infrastructure. We need to deal with the question of infrastructure so that other things can be able to follow and fit in, so that we can draw investments, so that there can be jobs, so that we can have more people who are contributing to the fiscus, so that we can do more things.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference. Images may appear to be identical, but looks can be deceiving. The difference is not always obvious. It has to be discovered. There are always different sides to a story. We put the focus on the details. To see more, to understand better. CGTN. See the difference.
Cities come all over the world. I think you are united by challenges, but also solutions, including the regions. Let's go to the others. I see both of you been listening solemnly to your colleagues while they are talking about their challenges and inspirations for one another. Your brief take coming from the city of Venice, please.
I agree with my friend from Greece. He spoke about European Union, And it's true, we made a lot of progress in a lot of fields because the aid, the help, the money from Europe to each country. But to be completely sincere, we are not European just now at all. We are countries divided by provinces, divided by cities. There is a competition. There is a competition in Europe, competition in each country, competition in each region. I think we must make more strong effort to change our mentality, our method to talk with each other, to become helper, to become more communicative, to have exchanges more honest, more sincere. Till now, not yet arrived. It could be, do you agree with me? But in any case, I think we made a lot of progress. And more is to be changed, could be changed, had to be changed in mentality and in the duty of the governor, the duty to change the governance, because I speak about Italy, we have three levels, the local level, the regional level, and the state level, the government level. And sometimes they don't hear, don't talk, don't agree. And that is the first step we have to afford. Communicate, exchanging opinion, not to be obedient, to be equal.
Well said. Mr. Governor, very briefly, one sentence or two to respond to your European colleague.
There is a motto, think global, act local. Let's look at the other side.
Yeah.
If we act locally and successfully, we can make an example and make them that think globally, think otherwise.
Yes, bottom up, as they say, right?
That's the thing.
All right, let's move on to another topic. All of you are very enthusiastic about, earlier you said, sustainable development. Also, I want to start from the city of Venice. You mentioned floods. You mentioned about a city of tourism facing climate change problems. Sustainable development is the life and death for you.
Yeah, and in this case, I have to say the government made a good job because gave us the money to realize a system that is named MOSE, a system of barrier to the mouth of the lagoon and the port, separating the lagoon from the Adriatic Sea. And in various occasions, we had this system working well to protect the city against the flooding. So this is a first step what was made to defend Venice. But defend Venice every day, because it's life every day is in island. Life every day is in the water. Venice was born into a lagoon, not a lake, it's a lagoon. This is exchanging with the sea. So we have to elevate the bank, we have to have care of the river who arrive into the lagoon. The pollution as well. Speaking about the transport, for us the transport are buses, but buses in the water buses, obviously. And the congestion in the canal is awful. The motor is awful. The breeze is awful. The pollution is awful for the water, for the air. And we are 50,000 people living in this island. In the center, there are more in the other island, but in the center, 50,000 people and 30 million tourists.
How are you going to deal with it? How are you dealing with it right now?
The solution is a government about entry in Venice, going around the little street we call Calle, and ticketing for theater, ticketing for Biennale, for example, to have a control room about people entering, leaving, because it's a balance. It's a balance of life. Citizen and tourist. We want a tourist. We want to send you a little bit of tourists, as you asked last night.
To the city of Hangzhou?
Yeah, sure. Because since this night we will have the direct flight.
Yeah.
So we could
Mr. Mayor, you
manage.
need to respond. What about sending some tourists to Hangzhou?
昨天我们威尼斯的市长
Well, yesterday, Ms. Mayor said that her biggest headache is too many tourists. That's why today she talked about pollution, congestion, and she mentioned that last year alone, more than 30 million tourists, and asked me how to address it, and I told her in Hangzhou last year tourists 120 million. So I told her, if too many tourists for you, ask you tourists to visit Hangzhou.
杭州的历史文化。
Of course, that is a wonderful and beautiful joke, also friendship. But are you going to sending them through the gondola on the river all the way to the Grand Canal here in China?
We sent a gondola to Hangzhou in 2013. I visited yesterday.
Right. We have another mayor coming from a tourist city called Kota Kinabalu, coming from Malaysia. How are you dealing with that climate change, sustainable development in your city?
The raising of the sea level also happening in my city, and also the rainfall also increased so much because of the climate change. So we have experienced unbudgeted expenses due to the incident. But again, what I would like to stress here, I'm sure the other mayors and the other leaders also agree with me that technology innovation, having technology innovation is very good, but it boils down to good leadership actually. Because with the good leadership, I'm sure you can hire the right people to administer the city. Because you need not only highly intelligent people to do the technical parts, you see, because you can't afford a half-back technical people to design or to come up with a good design for a city.
Yeah.
But at the same time, beside the capability in terms of technology and technical, you need them to be human also. So you have to blend it actually. So again, technology, good leadership is very important, addressing like a traffic problem and so on.
Whether it's about nature, it is also about people. South Africa, Cape Town. How are you dealing with this green transition you are facing right now?
Climate change to us is a reality in Cape Town. I think you'll remember we had a situation 2018, 2019 where we were talking about day zero. We felt climate change then, where we had to do our best to save ourselves from running out of water. And since then, we learned to be climate resilient, energy efficient. In all our programming, we have to make sure that we take into account all the issues that can affect climate change because of the situation in which we are facing. During winter, we know it's a rainy season in Cape Town. We are happy this year we got rain. We don't know whether we'll get it, but once we get rain this season, we know that it will take us through summer and the next winter if it doesn't rain. So we are facing that. In summer, we are facing fires every summer. So we are feeling the climate change. It is for that reason that the city of Cape Town is part of the 40 of the more than 100 global cities in C40 climate. We are part of that. It is exactly that. And we also, as a city, we have cities climate change policy and implementation plans, because it is always in our radar. In all our strategies and planning, we factor that in, because we are already experiencing it in Cape Town as a city.
Let's go to Dushanbe.
Tajikistan, Dushanbe as well, by itself is not producing the significant scope of CO2 emissions. But on the same time, we are one of the most affected countries in the world with the negative impact of climate change. Because, as I mentioned, the level of the last some seasons, we are meeting the dry seasons. In the country where they are producing 98% of the electricity in hydropower plants, it's the big challenge. We have somehow to deal with this existing challenge and difficulties. But it's not only related to energy for electricity. It's related to many sectors of our real economy, including irrigation, energy, nature preservation, and other sectors. In energy sector, the most optimal solution was founded on the diversification of the source of generation of electricity. And around maybe 2 or 3 years ago has been signed the action plan for future development of the energy sector, which aims the bringing to our energy basket more than 700 megawatts from renewables, mostly from solar. This is only one of the countermeasures of the reaction on climate negative impact, change negative impact. But we have the same problems on irrigation sector. For the last some seasons, we had a lot of the cases of the floods, and for the interconnection and for the mitigation of those disasters, we are already starting preparing from the early spring. This is, we are cleaning the bank of the rivers, strengthening the bank of the rivers, cleaning the diversion of the spillways, intakes, canals, and etc. We are doing our best to be resilient, of the negative impact of climate change. But of course, it's difficult. It's time-consuming measures. It's money, fund-consuming measures in some cases. But we are doing our best. We are trying to be ready for all of the negative impacts of climate change.
Right. So you are having short-term solutions, but looking at the long-term impact, hopefully that will work. What about from the governor of Western Greece?
It's a mega project because it affects all of us. In the region of Western Greece, we have started years ago by decreasing our consumption of regular energy, CO2 emissions, etc. And of course, we have started the program of producing our own energy through solar and wind producing. I have to state here, and I quote, in the region of Western Greece, it is established that 20% of the national production of solar energy and the 25% of the hydro energy. So we are in the process of this green transition. However, we have a tendency as humans not to programming wisely. So we all went from 0 to 100. And now we're not capable to stock the amount of energy we need to make the transition to. And we're talking about batteries, and we're talking about new investments in new ways of, I told you before, technology is here. We have the technology. The thing is that we're losing time, and time is very precious. And I think the way to do this is to open a market of energy that we can buy from each other, that we can elevate, make a balance of the problem that now Greece may have, tomorrow Italy may have, tomorrow South Africa may have, or China, or whatever. We can cooperate in this so as to have the energy we need and, of course, in the price we need.
Efficient solutions.
Yes, of course.
Taking advantage of the already existing supply chains, value chains, as you said. That's the key.
Absolutely this.
Nobody can make everything. I see a lot of sincerity really coming from this panelist. Thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, coming from Hangzhou, how are you dealing with the sustainable development issue while listening to your colleagues? What about water in your place? You got the Xihu, the West Lake.
So as we are talking about sustainable, behind it, the key is how to strike the right balance between the ecological preservation and the economic development. It is because of those problems, and those problems are coming from imbalance between the ecology and economic development. So it occurs to me about the two mountains ideas proposed by President Xi Jinping as he was the governor of Zhejiang province. So Zhejiang is the place that given birth to the two mountain theory and is part of Xi Jinping's spirit of ecological civilization. Behind the two mountains spirit, the problem is how to strike the balance between the economic development and the ecological protection. So in order to strike the right balance, actually three results will come from that. One, some people will put them as in conflict. That is why, for example, some people will say, well, I would just sacrifice the ecology in developing economy, damaging the environment. Sometimes people will put those two in opposite to each other, in conflict to each other. That is one of the idea. In the past, Hangzhou used to sacrifice the environment, but now no longer. We would no longer do that. And second possible relationship between the two is the coexistence. Those two were working in parallel. So we, on both hands, on the one hand, we help the environment. On the other hand, we help the economy. So that would be a good relationship between those two. And the third better solution, a better idea between those two is complementary relationship between those two. The green and large mountain and waters shall be the one with great economic value. So the two mountains ideas actually were proposed by President Xi Jinping while he was the Zhejiang governor. And next year we'll celebrate the 20th anniversary of that ideology. So Zhejiang people has really put that idea into practices. And we do believe that that is the truth. The truth has been exemplifying its real strength. As the host put it, that with water, the water speaks a lot about the natural preservation. Give you an study or a case study. The Thousands Lake in Cheng'an in Zhejiang province. Actually, Thousands Lake is the very source of our water resources. We have to leverage such water resources to its optimal value. At the beginning of the 1980s, as we are seeking to preserve the water resources from the Thousands Lake, at that time, we build the industrial park, developing low-end industries, and we have the maritime industry in the Thousands Lake. So to some sense, that has polluted the water resources in Thousands Lake. Of course, it indeed generates huge amount of economic GDP. Around 2000, the GDP from Cheng'an was around 3 million RMB. But that is not enough. That did not suffice to cater for the ecological civilization development. So while President Xi Jinping paid a visit to Chang'an, he mentioned that we shall leverage the water resources value from Thousands Lake, and he proposed a wording saying that we shall not put the 400,000 people in Chang'an, put them in a jeopardized position by neglecting what they've got, but sacrificing the water resources. So we shall take two measures. One, develop the environmentally friendly industries. For example, they have introduced non-fuel mineral water industries. For example, last year, the mineral water industry alone has generated more than 9 million taxations. So another approach is actually to leverage the Thousands Lake and to give the full play of its tourism value. So last year, we have been receiving 12 million tourists to Thousands Lake, and Hangzhou alone having permanent residents around 12 million. So it speaks a lot about how we leverage the resources and give the full play of tourism. So following the very idea of two mountains ideology by President Xi Jinping, not do we been able to preserve the environment and ecology, but also develop its economy and benefit the people.
也可以发展一方经济，更重要的还可以富裕一方百姓。
Seeing is believing. Once you say the water is good, I think you need to testify, Mr. Mayor. So I see already some wonderful tea-making masters are presenting to us the tea coming from Hangzhou. A glass of good water and now a glass of great tea. Yes. Very nice. This is what I need after talking for almost 2 hours. Mr. Mayor, coming from Dushanbe, how is it? Very quickly.
Very good, as usual. As usual, yeah.
As usual. Mr. Mayor, coming from Malaysia.
Delicate flavors and aromatic. Very good.
Madam Mayor.
Delicate and tasting good.
Yeah, it's very great.
Okay.
Very great, yeah.
Mr. Governor.
Tasty.
Very good. Mr. Mayor, yourself.
大家都觉得我们的茶好喝，希望你们常来杭州，常来喝我们的龙井茶。
Let's have our tea master coming from Hangzhou, young and dynamic lady, to help us how to understand tea better.
刚刚为大家奉上的呢
Just now you have had the Dragon Well tea from Westlake. This tea is native tea in Zhejiang province. It's known as the queen of green tea in China.
呢，左手托住杯托
Please use your left hand to hold the cup and right hand to open it, to open the lid. Before you take the sip, please smell the fragrance first.
然后用杯盖
And then you use the lid. Lightly, very gently, use the lid to remove the tea leaves at the surface. And you sip it while
I know you as governors and mayors have questions for one another. If we could do a speed Q&A so that we can have a real interaction among the mayors.
Venice was always open, is open, always will be open. But governing the over-tourism is a problem. Give me some answer about that, please.
Who you want to ask to?
My colleague from Greece.
We don't have over-tourism in Western Greece. However, the thing I would propose is to make all the correct infrastructure to prevent or to make harder the effect of the flooding of the, how you call the phenomena that makes Venice flood every now and then.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, I think, is the answer to your question, because, however, Italy gains from Venice's infrastructure. It's not a competitive kind of thing.
Mr. Mayor from Hangzhou, you have to answer that question. Madam Mayor already transported all those tourists on the gondola to your city.
我刚刚已经说，
So as I said, the tourists in Hangzhou actually still increasing in number, and we still have much room to accommodate the tourists. So the mayor from Venice, so actually we have put the gondola on the canal in Hangzhou, so that has become a spotlight. If people can't see gondola from Venice, they can see gondola in Hangzhou. Of course, my advice to you is to increase the public construction. So maybe you can create an increased number of destinations, scenic spots.
We have a challenge of housing in Cape Town. How do you deal with the issue of housing with limited resources?
Who you want to ask questions to?
The mayor of Hangzhou.
我们现在在城市建设当中
In，terms of the urban construction, so the livability has been put on the top priority. In order to solve the problem, actually, the three measures: one, the urban planning, the balance of the resources, so that people shall not travel too much distance between where they live and where they work. We do have a good urban planning. That would be the first measure. And secondly, is to solve the problem of the housing prices. So we have the commercial housing, we have the council houses, affordable houses. We have different kinds of housing for different kinds of people. And third one is the quality of housing, because people living here, they need to work 8 hours a day. So the remaining 20 hours, they need to stay at home with their people. So we need to help solve the problems.
所以品质很重要。所以我觉得这3个方面都要把它兼顾好。谢谢。
The mayor coming from Dushanbe, please.
Yeah, for
Any
me,
question for whom?
Yeah, very brief question. For me, is very interesting how to speed up the digitalization process in urban area. To speed up the digitalization processes.
Who do you want to ask the question?
What we need to do? What we need to say? The main milestones in this regard. Hangzhou.
我觉得也是3条。
Also, 3 measures. One, the infrastructure. We have to build the right and sound infrastructure. Apart from the hardware infrastructure, in the last couple of years, we have been investing heavily on the digital infrastructure. And second one is talent. Without talent, we can't possibly make it happen. So we do need to improve the talent. And thirdly, we have to introduce the established pattern, especially. Actually, we can borrow the best practices from others. If we can borrow on the best practices from others, actually we can reduce the possible errors.
Talking is one thing. Walk the talk is the most important thing. Finally, I want to thank all of you for joining us today and share with us your insights and also your ideas. Have this beautiful exchange of opinions on the stage and hopefully off the stage as well. All the best wishes to all your wonderful cities. Thank you so much. Thank you.